back.
What the f*** are you doing? We are having to investigate a noise that should be under the valve cover, and we will see, hopefully, what's going on with the motor. The damn thing is making a noise.
It's also popping a code.
Air fuel ratio.
It's P219B.
We'll disconnect the spark plug wires from the coils. You always twist a plug wire before trying to get it off of the piece.
We don't want the internals coming out on the actual spark plug.
That's right. That's the hope anyway. Thankfully it's not hooked onto anything.
And those come off with 8mm
Yes.
socket. Oh yeah. That's a rocker arm.
And it broke right at the same spot that the others did. They have an offset on these rockers. As you see, this one will go slightly to the right in comparison to straight. So it'd be exhaust, intake, exhaust, broken intake. It's weaker because of it pointing off to the right in comparison to being straight on. The thing is about this style here is that they sit on this little rail.
You're gonna have to move your hand. I can't see through you.
Look, right here, there's a pedestal that this bolt holds the rocker onto to this little stand here.
Fuck you too.
Exactly. From what I have read, a number of the guys have done is reinstalled this piece.
Once again,
cradle.
I can't see you.
If you keep whining, I'm gonna bitch slap you. Okay?
Yeah,
so
well,
keep whining.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm the
shut
director.
up.
I am the director of photography.
Hey, I'm the star. So if you f***ing deal with the prima donna syndrome that I'm going through, now,
I'm
I need
dealing.
something to point
I'm
with.
dealing.
Now what the f*** am I gonna use for that?
You're.
Nah, it's too big. Here, bitch. Now you're gonna f***ing understand. You're not standing on the pedestal. Well, listen and learn. You f***ing dork.
Oh, you've got me pegged.
Now,
No,
you
seriously, I
see
need to
this
be
thing
pegged.
here. This thing that's underneath here.
I can't see through your fucking hand.
If you keep whining, I'm gonna bitch slap you. That's gonna happen.
Actually, I
Now
need you
just
to
shut up.
stab me with that screwdriver through the temple.
No, it'll be between your eyes. Now shut up. Listen. This bolts through this.
I can't see through your hand.
If you don't move your position, I will stab you in the eye with this fucking screwdriver.
Please.
Again.
You know your threats are like foreplay to my
I
ears.
know. You're already a wreck, so get away from the fucking truck. You'll dent it. Now listen, and listen carefully. This goes through this stand thing. This is like a pedestal strap. And this bolts into the head on this pedestal strap. Because that same type of rocker failed on the other bank. So the fix for this problem is we're just going to replace this rocker and he'll be good for 60 days. The idea though will be to get a much better version of these rockers and replace them.
Are we gonna have to replace the retainer for this spring as well?
I would say yes, but you need a tool though in order to put that on. Unfortunately, once you pull that retainer, then the valve will drop. So, and you're supposed to apply air pressure into the cylinder to make sure that it stays up while it's doing it. So in that way you won't have to remove the head in order to change out that retainer.
It's not like
It's
last
in
time where
comparison,
we thought
right.
it was a tune issue for weeks before we realized that there was a mechanical failure.
Right. We can take this rocker off here. We'll undo this bolt and pull it off and then see
What size
to...
do you think that is?
It's likely an 8 again.
Well, you got that right here.
Yep. Somebody really put that on there.
All right.
Now
We are back.
Somebody really put this bitch on, and I am freaking out. Because it should not have been this tight.
Normally we'd use a breaker bar, but we are not in the shop. We are in our garage. So we have a limited supply of tools here.
Wow, that was pretty tight. Freaking out because when you have them that kind of tightness, you could break it, and then we're in a world of hurt. Alright, so what we have here is obviously the failure. Now the real deal is that we got to find where that piece is.
Oh, look at that. That you can see just how much damage there is to that retainer clip.
Now there is, yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, you'll need to replace it.
I'll order one tonight then.
Alright.
So Wheels, what do you think about all this
I
string
think,
of bad luck you've been having?
I think my intuition served me right. Since the other side had a rocker arm break, we were hoping that that was going to be the same issue on this side, which thankfully it was. I was afraid it was going to be like a f***ing lifter or something, and it ruined my cam.
That would have been worst case scenario. Thankfully that doesn't seem to be the case.
You see, we got half of the rocker right now. We still gotta find the piece that broke off. We're not sure where that went. Hopefully it did not go in anywhere detrimental. I'll be getting a set of roller rockers at some point to replace these pieces of shit.
That's going to be the long-term plan. The intermediate plan is just to get a replacement for what's broken currently.
Yeah, I can't afford it. We'll get the stick magnet out and go from there.
The plan is to replace the retainer on the valve spring because it is chipped up and from the destruction of the rocker arm.
And why are we removing the spark plug?
To fill the combustion chamber with this hose, make certain that the valve does not drop into the cylinder. If it does, then we're removing the head.
That'll be fun. So it's a pretty small hole. It's going to be a nice snug fit, right?
Yeah, you gotta work blue to be funny. Okay, remember that.
Hey,
and
you gotta give
the
me some credit.
cornerstone,
I'm trying here.
the cornerstone of f***ing comedy is self-depreciation. Remember that.
I'm a genius at f***ing self-depreciation.
Well, I can't seem to fit any more in there. All right, so now we have the tubing shoved inside the cylinder. We have moved the engine to top dead center
For that particular cylinder.
for this cylinder right here. So the next step now is we're going to take the spring compressor. We're going to apply it onto this spring here, and we're going to compress it so we can remove this retainer. The idea is to get 2 of these claws onto the spring itself and make certain that the thing is centered onto the retainer, along with the screw is going to be on the center of the valve.
And thankfully, you've got the 3 hands you need to manage all that.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Ugh.
So, we've had nothing but problems, eh?
It's been a journey as usual.
So, we looked online for the Ellis valve compression tool, and it's pretty expensive. So what do? We went and borrowed one, yeah?
Yep, right off of Facebook.
Off of Facebook.
But
That's true.
we ordered this off of eBay from Summit Racing. It's not the eBay version. And we're gonna see if it works.
This is application specific for the LS3, yes?
Yeah.
As the difference will be, one, is that this part here that compresses the springs is actually up at an angle. The one that we had was horizontal and
Okay.
would not hook
So you're
up correctly.
bottoming them out on something?
Yeah, the angle was not correct.
The
And
bolts would go in diagonally into the hole.
the other aspect of this tool is that it's rounded so that it can fit better inside this rail part here. This holds each of the rockers in their respective little curved base, and this matches that, so that makes it that much easier to deal with. And then this piece here is cup receiver, and also for each of the valves there, in order to have access to the keys or keepers. First, I think we're gonna remove these so that we don't have any issues. We will place the tool place this one on there. And the bolts do work. Comp Cams did a wonderful job. Now, we'll place this tool, the compression part here, but this is kind of mock-up. We want to make certain that the angles are correct before tightening anything. And now, you can cinch this one down. What the f***? Mother f***ing time I'm concentrating, some has to do some kind of bullshit like that. That's the second one. That is quite damaged.
Yep.
Yeah, it's perfectly round.
This part looks tricky.
It is, and it must be lined up correctly. You can easily f this up by trying to force the valve stem through the center of the retainer, but we ain't doing that.
So I'm gonna get in here and show you exactly what we're talking about here. The retainer is slightly off from where you want it to be to slide down on the valve. There's going to be a lot of pressure as we tighten that down, so we want it absolutely correct before we do. So we'll continue readjusting until we get it lined up perfectly.
It's gonna come down just a little bit more to compensate on this side here. Seems as though they're both there. So we're going to release the tension now and see. That would make sense.
So I feel like there's a life lesson in this somewhere, but I have no clue what it is. Especially considering that this is the second rocker arm that's busted, it's probable that another one will break somewhere along the way until those roller rockers are available to be installed. Yep, you're high. No, I'm sorry, that's wrong.
Finally. So So now this is completely off the cam lobe. So now we'll be able to torque it into position and spec.
And what is the spec on these?
22 foot-pounds. All right, now what we're gonna do then is cycle it again. And when we see this one come off the lobe, then we're gonna check it. And then when we see this one come off the lobe, we'll check that one next. All right, so after installing the rocker, we had to rotate the motor, the engine, until the cam was off lobe on that particular cylinder, and we in turn torqued the rocker bolt to spec. Then we rotated it again and we rechecked them, and they are both torqued to spec. So all of the rockers should be good, and we will reassemble and hopefully it'll be running correctly. Well, we got it back together and we're going to start it. So let's see.
That's hard to tell.
I know.
Could be oil starvation. This needs to run more.
Yes. It started to get better as the time went on.
Yeah.
And that's what counted the most. So, I'm relatively pleased with it.
So, got it parked after the test run. The ticking noise that we heard when we first fired it up went away after driving it for a while. It's likely because the rocker is brand new and just needed to get the oil worked into it. And there's also a possibility that the engine was oil starved from sitting for so long, especially with it open like that. So after driving it for a few minutes, it cleared up and it sounds beautiful. So I'm happy to say that the truck is in running condition again. We'll be babying it until we can get those roller tip rockers in there, and hopefully we don't have any more broken ones between now and then.